This is Real Republican News. I'm your host, Jason Mariner. Everyone knows that when you tell a lie and repeat it over and over again for long enough, people start to believe it. In fact, it starts to become reality in the minds of others. When media organizations, both mainstream and social media in the digital space, team up with a political organization with a one-sided and untrue agenda, start pushing a one-sided narrative down the throats of Americans, it's no longer news, it's no longer information, it's just propaganda. They're steering the minds of this country into believing things are going on that are absolutely not true and are not happening. They're trying to tell you that the big bad white man is out in the streets attacking Asians. It's not true. The shootings that happened at the massage parlors in Atlanta were carried out by a man with a sex addiction, mental health problems. The year before, he was in rehab for those sex addictions. CNN quickly jumped on that story and said it was a Trump voter, a big bad white man that was targeting Asian Americans because of the COVID-19 pandemic. He was seeking some sort of revenge. They didn't bother to ask the sheriff's department what happened when they interviewed him. You know what happened when they interviewed him? He said that in his sick and twisted mind, he was neutralizing a threat to his health. He was eliminating these places where he could go to act out on his sex addiction. But they didn't tell you that because it doesn't support their narrative, that it was carried out by a big bad white man who voted for President Trump. They don't want you to know the facts. They want you to know their propaganda. They want you to believe the lies. They want to steer you in a direction that's going to get you to hate white people. That's the definition of racism, if I've ever heard it. That's the definition of bigotry. A man walks into a supermarket in Boulder, Colorado and starts shooting innocent civilians. And the media jumps all over that one and says it was a big bad white man with his white privilege and AR-10,000. And of course he voted for President Trump. Well, that story didn't age well because we quickly found out that the person that carried out this act, and I'm not even going to say his name because he doesn't deserve the time of day, but there should be no confusion. It was not Italian sounding or Irish sounding or Anglo-Saxon sounding. It was Middle Eastern. He's Syrian. He's a Muslim. He's posted anti-Trump rhetoric on social media. Stuff that would concern the average sane person. His father constantly posts on social media anti-Western, pro-ISIS propaganda. The man hates America. The whole family does. Yet they go undetected. So my question is this. Why are you trying to get America to blame the big bad white man that doesn't exist for everything that's going wrong because of your bad policies? It's because you want to take the Second Amendment away, because if you do that, you'll be able to very easily take over this country and install communism or socialism. That's why. You don't want people to know the truth. You just want them to know your false narrative, your propaganda. You also then say that law enforcement is bad. Defund the police. The men and women of law enforcement are Nazis. They're bad people. The day that shooter walked into that supermarket and killed 9 civilians, a police officer ran into that supermarket, didn't bother to ask anyone who they voted for, what their religion was, who they wanted to have sex with, or anything else for that matter. All he wanted to do was save lives. He wanted to put himself between the gunfire and the innocent people. Stand between bad and evil. That's what law enforcement does. But then they turn around and say, defund the police. That brave soul lost his life because he was a hero. He was carrying out his sworn duty to protect Americans against bad people. Don't you see the twisted narrative that you're being fed? The act wasn't committed by a deranged white supremacist that voted for Trump. It was carried out by a radicalized Syrian, a Muslim, someone whose father posts anti-American sentiment concerning things on social media. I also have another question. And this is directed towards Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and Jack Dorsey, the idiots that control the social media world in this country. Since you're so good at limiting conservative free speech on your platforms, how come you can't seem to detect these people when they promote anti-Western, pro-ISIS material? That should be very concerning. That should be reported right away. It should be detected immediately, and something should be done about it. Those lives could have been saved if you paid as much attention to the people who want to destroy Western civilization as you do to the people that want to support the Constitution, like Republicans. That's what you should be focusing on. But we all know that you don't care about America, you don't care about the safety of Americans. You say you do, but you don't. What you care about is ultimate power and control. What you care about is pushing a false narrative. What you care about is deceiving the American people, because you know that if socialism or communism is installed in this country, it's going to be very good for you because you're part of the elite. You'll remain at the top while the rest of us suffer under oppression. You know that if you can get people to believe that this stuff is happening because of crazy white people that support the Second Amendment and the Constitution, you'll be able to rip the Constitution to shreds and take away our country that's been great for 244 years. People don't read between the lines enough, and you know it. That's why you push this propaganda. People buy it. This is an Orwellian nightmare. It's continuous. This administration is doing nothing to protect this country. They've created a humanitarian crisis at this border, and they're doing nothing about it. They're telling these people to come to this country for a better life, that they'll take care of them and protect them, and they're doing nothing of the sort. They're putting them in prisons when they get here. They're separating them from their families. They're keeping them for longer than 72 hours in confinement, which is illegal by federal standards. They're breaking the law. They're issuing media blackouts because they don't want the general public to see exactly what's going on our southern borders. As a Christian, I believe in taking care of the people that are here. They've been tricked into coming here. Now they deserve our help. But what also needs to happen is the holes in that border wall need to be patched up, because illegal immigrants are going to come through those holes. So are terrorists, guns, drugs, children, and women. It's going to enhance the ability of the cartels to make money off of people's bodies. The sex trafficking industry, the illegal arms industry, the drug industry. All things that are bad for America, good for other countries. I can't imagine why on earth this new administration would think that's okay, and they would continue to allow it. But it's become blatantly obvious to me, and it should be to you by now, that they have absolutely no regard for the American way of life, the way this country was founded, the morals we should be going by, and the founding doctrine of this country, the United States Constitution. In fact, they're completely disregarding it every chance they get. I ask you as an American patriot to wake up to what's going on, stand up against it, speak out, do whatever you can to stop it. Because if we all don't do something about this very soon, this country may wind up in a position in which we can't recover. Because once tyranny takes over, it's very hard to get rid of. Look what our colonists had to go through to get away from British and English rule back in 1776. They had to fight a war. Lives were lost. That's the direction they're pushing this country in. Start following the Constitution. Start educating your children on the ways this country was founded. Start teaching them morals and values. Stop telling them that white people are bad, because that's racist. If you really want to eliminate racism, you'll stop pushing that narrative. I call on this administration, this supposedly Catholic president of ours, to start acting Catholic. Vote against abortion. Do something about the humanitarian crisis at the border and stop it from continuing to accumulate. The longer those holes exist, the bigger the problem's going to become. It's all being done, obviously, to weaken America, divide America, and destroy this country. It seems very apparent to me that this country is being taken over by evildoers, people who have lied their way into office, cheated their way into office, and have absolutely no interest in supporting the American way of life. We all need to get back to our roots. Start learning the Christian foundation of this country. Start learning about morals and values, and stop believing the false narrative. Read between the lines and think for yourselves. So until next time, I say God be with you, your families, and especially the lost souls that have been victims of these most recent massacres, and may swift justice be brought down upon those who carried out those evil and atrocious acts, and may God continue to watch over our law enforcement community. My name is Jason Mariner. I'm your host here at Real Republican News. Be well, everyone.